Okay.
Living in the future, kids of America. But yeah, if we talk about running into fans again, as I'm sure Aldous and we'll all talk about, I guess, more influencers and celebrities and social media, maybe on this pod, maybe in some other ones. But I don't run into fans. It doesn't happen.
I mean, you have been recognized, but I mean,
I have, yeah.
It's like that's different than like fans. So I would also say, I have never run into a fan, but I have been recognized of someone who's like, oh, I listened to the podcast.
Yeah, I've been recognized from doing a few other things. Never from this, apparently. But I've been recognized for things I've done outside.
Yeah, you've done like stand-up too, right? Like, I think let's canonize that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's in my life canon that I did stand up.
Well, no, now we're canonizing it in the universe of Style and Direction, you know?
Right.
We're all playing characters of ourselves on this pod. Technically, it's canon.
Canon.
But yeah, no, I think that's really cool. I think menswear is a very interesting little space where, you know, it's a weird kind of celebrity, just like how I talked about, I think, one of our first streams when I met John Powell, right? Film composer, someone that I consider to be very cool. And, you know, it's one of those things where I wish Adam was in here, but apparently when I was talking and like asking John Powell to take a picture with him at the Rose Bowl flea market, his wife was kind of laughing to herself, like she couldn't believe like this was happening, because who would recognize a British guy who looks absolutely normal, like a normal dude, walking around a giant flea market and being like, hey, you're John Powell, composer. I'm a big fan of your.
Yeah, he's like not an on-camera guy.
Yeah, exactly. You know, maybe, you know, and I mean, there's like a couple of YouTube videos. You know, he was on the red carpet when Solo premiered, but it's not gonna be a thing that people are gonna normally see. So, menswear, I think, is a very special thing, like film score, where this kind of stuff happens, right? Just like maybe, you know, I've also seen it maybe with like poets or public speakers, like for like left-wing kind of stuff, you know, like Spencer and I have been to open mics before in downtown LA and Little Tokyo, and I've also seen when people run into them like at a boba shop and people are kind of like, oh my god, you're this person. Even if the person may not have a giant following, it's still, you know, it's a very important kind of deal to these people. So for me, I always kind of laugh to myself because it's very crazy that it happens. Like, it's just such a weird thing. Although on my end of it, you know, when I got to meet like Jake Grantham, I think Jake Grantham was probably the first person that I met that I was really like floored by, because if you don't know, Jake Grantham is probably one of my favorite style icons, both in his style and the way he stands. Because if you look at him slouching and his hands in his pockets, and you look at me standing with my hands in my pockets, the reference is there.
Yeah, that's gonna be opening. That's gonna be the opening line where you meet him, right?
Yeah,
I love the way you stand.
Yeah, I wish I did tell him. I did tell him that the photographs of him that Mark Cho took were very like formative for how I approach menswear. I told him that this is like 3 years ago. So it's a lot of stuff kind of like that where, you know, people recognize me maybe from Male Fashion Advice, maybe from Dapper Day. It's usually Male Fashion Advice or Dapper Day, because not many people read the blog openly, at least before.
No one's openly a blogger. We all do it under the guise.
But usually, I mean, look at the bigger stuff, right? Like MFA and Dapper Day have a wider audience base, right? And my blog doesn't really, I mean, there's good SEO on it, but more often than not, the blog is just where I write stuff, and then people link to it, or they find it from other things. Like, you know, if someone on Dapper Day is, hey, how should I learn how to, like, how do I do a 1930s outfit that isn't the clip-on suspenders and the bow tie? Someone will probably be like, okay, this guy wrote this thing. Or even me back in the day, I would, you know, be very active in like the Dapper Day like comment stream and be like, hey, by the way, this is, you know, something I wrote. You guys might find it interesting. Stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, more often than not, it is a guy like around our age. I don't think that I have like, you know, the demographics of people who follow me or read my blog is people who are like my age, people who are 40 years old. They're normally not a menswear person, like, you know, they're like, you know, an industry kind of thing, because I think that as Kyoshi probably know, right, Kyoshi's met a bunch of different other people, like there might be people who have a lot of
people in his life.
There might be people who have clout, but I think it's because since we know we all work in history, it's not a big deal. Like meeting like Antonio Cingoli or like Mark Cho is not like a whoa kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or at least now, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like it's tight knit.
Well,
it's a tight knit family. It's a family.
That I would say is a big deal.
Costa Nostra. Costa Nostra? I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Our thing.
Did you guys
go ahead, Jason?
Did you guys watch America's Got Talent ever?
AGT?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, seen clips here and there, but.
Well, there's a comedian that was on it, I think last season. His name's Preacher Lawson. He came in second. And I had him once come up to me after a show and tell me he was a big fan of mine. Of like my stand-up.
Okay. And so you're like the second most talented guy in America thinks I'm talented.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I mean,
had a little pep in his snap after that. So.
But I had already known him because we did stand-up at the same comedy club in Florida when I was in college. And he was actually he was there when I did my first set. Wow. He came up to me afterward and was like, "Hey, you got some good stuff. Keep at it." And then like 3 years later, he goes, "Hey, I'm a big fan of yours." And I'm like,
"That's really cool."
Me too.
Huh.
That is super cool. I think I'm not going to deny that getting a positive affirmation like that is cool. Even just talking to them. Well, I mean, that kind of goes in with what Jeremy's saying in the chat, where when he first joined the podcast adjacent communities and talking to the guys who do it directly on Discord, Instagram, he felt so important suddenly. Much more important than say meeting a CEO or a real celebrity, which he says that celebrities might just think he's just being annoying, which I think is also kind of a thing.
Are real celebrities?
Oh, that's right. I forgot. We are real celebrities. But I think that's it's very. I think it's because with a celebrity, it's more like you saw them in a movie, but with like someone like a style icon or say a comedian you guys share something more tangible, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, I can kind of see why, maybe something that I don't really like to say too much, but like why our opinion might matter a lot to this person, which is something that I definitely don't like because I'm just like a regular guy, right? Like I think if we're talking generally here, we dress way weirder than a normal person, right? Like no one's like if we were to look at the whole world, people are the amount of high-waisted pants wearers to normal-rise pants wearers, we are in the definite minority.
Yeah,
right?
It's us and Harry Styles.
Exactly. So it's it's one of those things where I hope that I present myself in a way that makes it accessible, because this goes back to when I made the blog. I did not want to be an influencer or to be like a very alpha M kind of guy, so I wanted to portray myself as like an everyman, which I hope I still am. I mean, I'm just like a regular dude, but it's always kind of fun to see people kind of nervous about it. Like
I like when people are nervous.
Well, it's just kind of interesting because it's like, despite my best efforts, people will still be like that. Again, it doesn't happen. It's only happened like maybe like 2 to 3 times where, I was at the Rose Bowl flea market and this guy comes up to me with his wife saying like, "Hey, I'm a big fan of the blog and your Instagram. We started coming to the Rose Bowl because you said it was great." And they're from OC, which is not that too far, but it's nice that they came out to kind of find their stuff. And then, we saw him again at when we did the Dapper Day, when I did the unfortunately the Dapper Day like influencer panel where they were talking about like what was it, like finding personal
something like that, personal style,
personal journey or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was there too. He asked a question. He came to talk to us afterward, showing off his next suit or whatever, and it was it was good, or at least a step up of whatever he said that he was dressing like before, and he was asking about different stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's also one thing that menswear lets you do, like where you're able to, if you're in the right community or the right area, you're able to meet your icons or whoever more often, so they become more of a contemporary or even a friend, as opposed to like a celebrity where like if you were to meet Alpha M, I don't think that you would see him very often. But there are some kind of cool videos.
Then that's a good point though, because then it's just a matter of the degree of and the size of your following, as opposed to the nature of how you got
dynamic.
Famous.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, I agree, and that's why I implore people to kind of like talk to us and Spencer, which is why if someone does that to Spencer, I think we've also told people, like, if people talk to us like that, we always say come out to an event, right?
Yeah.
So we always say, like,
I do. I want to apologize if someone who has been a fan of the podcast has ever messaged me and I've not responded. It's not you. It's just that I don't like texting. I don't like. I just don't.
Not you. It's just I'm uninterested.
I just no. It's not even that I don't like it. It's that I'm like I get the message when I'm doing something, and then I think it's like, oh, I'll get back to this in a little bit, and then I just like never do.
It's not you guys. It's just that he hates responding to your. It's just your messages.
Exactly. I hate responding to messages.
I hate them.
Not your messages. It's any messages.
I know. That's why I try to respond to every message that I get. Also, I like talking to people, and I like I'll just alluding to, like, I like to change the dynamic, because I don't want it to be like you're coming to me. Like, I want to be like a regular person. You're like, hey, by the way, what do you think of this, or is this something that you're into, or whatever. That is something I want to emphasize, and hopefully again that I portray myself to be.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot I have limited
that's what's more
I'll answer
important.
any DM for $5.
It's that easy.
I'm not like that. I'm not like that. But
I wish I could charge for the DM me, but fuck, no one does. I get so many of those DMs where it's like the hey there, and then you like it's suspicious, so you click on it anyway because you want to see where this goes.
Of course.
And then it's like you hit accept, and then it's just some like weird link, and then like some photo of like an ass, and I'm like, okay.
I don't ever like open the
account.
spam like Instagram messages. But if I'm but if it's like a spam group message, then I will go in, because I kind of want to see who else is in there.
Any sort of message request, especially inside Instagram, I accept.
I get a lot of
down the rabbit hole as far as I can.
Okay, so I get a lot of messenger requests for kind of a weird reason. I have a couple playlists on Spotify that are pretty popular.
Really?
They're not cool playlists.
But they're popular, so that's.
But they're very popular, and so I'll get messages from artists asking me to include their music in my playlist that I haven't updated since high school.
That's really funny.
And I'm like, no, thank you.
I just for $5.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I should start charging people.
You should start charging people.
Person says here, me when I first started MFA, OMG, a guy with a blog who expressed a comment to my fit. Me in MFA now. What's up, nerds? Exactly. I mean, I remember that, Far East. I remember when you started posting a little bit, and I was like, I mean, yeah, you wore. You have a lot of great fits, and I think you wore like chinos with like boat shoes or something with like an OCBD, and I was like, that's good. I mean, it's a good fit.
It also sounds like he was a bit in awe in the way of you, and you responded to his blog.
I think that's the thing.
And you
too,
couldn't avoid that. Yeah, I don't think you can avoid that aura. And we were talking about this before.
Well, you know how. Well, I mean, yeah, but I think with Far Eastern's case, the idea, how do you remove awe, is how you keep.
I don't think
developing the relationship. No, I think you can, because Far Eastern clearly right now is totally casual with us, right? Like, I think that's what the whole thing. He's pretty chill, yeah. I mean, I do remember before when he was, a bit, I'm not saying it's bad, but he was more in awe.
I guess we should clarify then, because yes, you can remove awe for a particular person. Like when a person when you absorb them to your friend group and it becomes familiar, then that sort of mystique disappears. But I'm talking about just the aura he presents, like. There's no way you can get yourself to the point where if you come across another Far Eastern and make him somehow feel comfortable right off the bat as well. Once you get to a certain level of familiarity, you're just going to have that aura. I'm talking about when you meet new people, you're going to have an effect.
But that's what I'm saying is my whole thing is I invite them to keep talking to me, keep hanging out. And not with the thing that we're not going to be friends. Like obviously as Jeremy says, substituting friends for content creators is a problem. I definitely agree there.
Mm-hmm.
But being comfortable, the only way to be comfortable with anything, right, with like trying new food, is you just keep eating that food. You keep riding the bike. You just gotta do it until you lose that thing. And so one thing that I wish that I wish that we knew this topic ahead of time. Although it kind of came in.
What's happening?
I set everything on fire. Oh no!
My biscuits are burning.
Oh no! Oh no! That's not good. Spaceships are dangerous, folks.
I wish that I would,
God damn it.
That would be a great guest, I would say, for this kind of topic. is our friend Andy, or Nguyen Nguyen as we call him, as his actual name is.
You're right.
But yeah, Spencer was there when we first met, and I feel really bad. Again, this is, I guess this whole thing is going to highlight. So, 2016 LACMA, I believe, is one of the first Dapper Day LACMAs, or maybe that was 2016. Yeah, and a guy randomly messaged me, Vietnamese guy who's like, "Hey, Ethan, I'm super into menswear, love reading the blog. Just want to tell you that." And I responded saying like, "Hey man, cool, thanks. If you're like," I was like, where do you live?" He's like, "Oh, I'm in OC." And I'm like, "Oh, well, dude, come hang out sometime. Just come, whatever." And he's like, "Oh shit, are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's Dapper Day coming up. Come hang out." And he came to us. And he had to work the same night, and I feel kind of bad, but he actually came the same day. He came for like an hour and then left because he really wanted to hang out. And of course, like all of a sudden, that's kind of hard. You can't mitigate that, right? Like you can't. He's gonna be in awe, and he was in awe. He barely talked when we first met him. Spencer, were you there?
I think so. Yeah. No, I think
it's either. Yeah, and we were.
Didn't we?
This might be 2017.
Didn't he? Just not run up to us. Didn't he recognize us when we were like in line or something like that?
Yeah, we were in line. This is why it gets really sad. So we were invited to watch a screening of a movie.
Yeah, The Red Shoes. Really good flick. Also very long.
Very long. And it was a big part of the exhibit. So it's like, if you watch the movie, you'll have more context for the exhibit. And so because Spencer and I were invited by Dapper Day, or at least I was, and I brought Spencer along.
Not Spencer. He was not invited.
Not invited. Because of that, we didn't know we were watching the movie. So when he came, he came to see us while we were in line for these tickets. And they were held. Like we weren't. It was actually just will call, so we actually had to go. And we talked to him for 20 minutes or whatever. And he was wearing a seersucker outfit, cool Panama hat, some loafers, and he's kind of shy, and we barely had some words, and then we had to leave, and then he had to go to work back in OC. He went all the way up to West LA, and then back again down to OC, which is an hour drive or so.
Mm-hmm. Oh shit!
And he was there. He was there for just that. And all of a sudden, it's a very tough thing, but he really wanted to be there. But the thing is, we kept inviting him, and he, we kept talking to him, and now he is one of our, he's in our Facebook group or whatever. He's a good friend of ours. He still works a lot. He's a waiter, so that has some crazy hours that come with it. But he's totally chill now. He's one of the dudes. Jason didn't know that. Jason could have probably just thought that we were all friends the whole time, right?
I came into the group, after it was already formed.
Yeah, exactly. So it's it's that whole thing that I believe that will mitigate the idea, right? I think the menswear mystique.
You can't do that with everyone, though. That's the thing.
You can't. No, that's true.
Stay in the background forever, just lurking there.
But then again, that's kind of the issue here, right? Because it's like when people complain about MFA, about the amount of lurkers in there versus the amount of power posters. The way to simplify that is because lurkers don't post, and power users only get that way because they post consistently. And I think Far Eastern now has made a better name for himself, even if he still doesn't post very often. He still is much more recognized in MFA, just like our friend Daniel, who has another cool blog called. Oh shit! I forgot what his blog's called. That's my bad.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Called Not Cool Enough, the blog.
Yeah, not cool enough for him to remember.
Jesus, man.
But it's one of those things where before you're lurking and then you start posting fits more. It's kind of it goes both ways, and obviously your content creators are not obligated to be friends with all of their audience, but the audience also does not, if you want to demystify it, you have to recognize that you have to be an active part in the conversation, And that's what makes everything kind of, same thing here, right? We talk about even Alderson and Kiyoshi or whatever, and Jason, right? Before, when the Twitch first started, maybe you guys didn't talk as much now, but the more you guys are in it, the more you guys feel free to voice your opinions and talk and even have your, talk about your own rants and everything, because that's just how things work. And obviously it's harder if, you're not in the Discord, you're not in the community, but that's why you like Reddit. Reddit's completely open to be in that kind of thing, and power users come up all the time. Let me read what Jeremy says. Jeremy says, But you always like someone more when you first meet them, and 6 months later you perceive them as an insecure misogynist. Oh no, am I gonna be canceled as a misogynist?
Yes.
Yes.
Hashtag it's already happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's already happened. Hey, it's happening. It's happening right now.
It's happening right.
This
now.
is like this is
an intervention, isn't this?
No, this is like the action movie, like, you know, or like or something, like they're like, oh, here's the plan, and it's like, I'm gonna stop you before you do it. It's like it's already happened.
Yeah.
And then you look at your phone. Trending on Style Forum, hashtag Ethan is over party.
Yes, we gotta get that started.
Yeah.
Oh no. What's up?
Street X
Ethan, I want to
cancel.
ask you,
Go ahead.
Have you ever been recognized from your blog or pod or whatever while you're at work?
Yes.
By a customer?
Not sometimes by customers, but a lot of people know that I work at Ascot Chang. And so, sometimes people will visit just to say hi to me, which is, I think, is kind of fun. There was a guy, again, I try and do the same thing. So his name is Guy, which is not his, that's like his English name. He's from Beijing. And I remember this guy comes in wearing like a 3-piece suit, and he just, he's casually looking around. I'm like, can I help you? He goes, no, I'm just here to go say hi to you because I knew that you worked here. And I'm making him sound a lot more awkward than he is, he goes to UC Santa Barbara. He went to UC Santa Barbara, so again, not too far. And he already, he already followed like, George Wang from Brio, obviously from Beijing, right? He knows Mark Cho stuff. He's been to Hong Kong and everything. And obviously the first time kind of awkward. And he's come every time he comes to visit, Beverly Hills or hang out in LA with his friends, he stops by, and he's a cool dude. I mean, we've only like hung out in my store like 3 times, but it's a very, it's very nice that kind of happens. I remember one guy came in, and these guys are not like, they weren't young, they were like 30s years old or something. They were from China as well. But one guy was getting a suit made, and his friend goes, hey, you write menswear, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes like, oh my god, like I've seen you. There's like some weird, not a Slack group, but maybe like an RSS feed of menswear, and just like how, well, I'll get into this in a second, but there's basically an RSS feed where someone reposts my outfits in there a lot, which is kind of interesting, and this guy recognized me from that. That's and then cool. Also, according to our friend Andy, a lot of people in Vietnam read my blog, which is crazy. And one of the, Andy is in the Discord, but he isn't active. Again, he's on at different times and everything. But I wish he could tell us a little bit more about this Vietnam tailor called Tree Pham, where they've reproduced a lot of like spear point collars, 30 style polo shirts, belt backs. Not just because of my blog. Pham Taylor, not Pham Brothers. Pham Brothers is a different Vietnamese tailor.
Yes.
As we talked about the last time too, on the chat. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that I hold a lot of the credit there, but I think they got into vintage menswear a little bit, or the ideas of wearing it more contemporarily, in the contemporary sense, from the blog, and then they started doing what I do. They source the images themselves and start reproducing things in their own way, and I think that's what's super cool. And I don't know if Kiyoshi, that there's a Facebook group for the blog. It's totally open. I recommend you can see it. It's a lot more casual and a lot more, it's not as curated as our Discord, because again, this is all the Patreon people in there. But in the Facebook group, it's very open, and they will post a lot of their like vintage inspired creations in there, and even source the other parts of the people who read the blog, the audience, about their ideas. And I think that's super cool. Again, adding to the whole democratization, the demystifying the whole thing, and which is something I find really important. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else. There was one time so I live next to McDonald's. Okay, I live like it's right across the street, as we've mentioned. As Jason has talked about how he lives in walking distance. I also live in walking distance, but I'd rather drive there. And
you drive,
very Los Angeles of you.
And you say it's across the street. How far is across the street?
Do you know how suburbs work?
Like, yeah, it does. Yeah, it would take him like 10 minutes just to walk out of the suburb. And again, keep in mind, this is fast food, which as soon as it goes cold, it's like inedible. Like it has to be
like,
fresh.
Like it is technically the next block, but I still have to walk along my long road to
get
to
dude, he lives like pretty far down the street. It would take him a long time to walk out there.
Yeah.
How long is your total walk to McDonald's?
Maybe like 10 minutes.
No, Jason.
Briskly.
Mine's like 5 minutes. Not even. I could probably walk.
Okay, well, I'm trying to do. I was trying.
Do you have to cross an intersection?
3 streets. It's 3 blocks away, and it takes me 5 minutes to get there.
Well, how many lanes of traffic? I think it's not how many streets. It's how many lanes do you need to cross,
Okay,
right?
all right.
I also live near a main street.
Well, all my streets are one way, going that way, so I don't have to cross any avenues. Like I don't have to cross Queens Boulevard. I just have to cross. 40.
Okay, I'm gonna map it. After this, I'm going to screenshot Google Maps and.
So you're gonna don't dox yourself, bro.
Yeah.
Seriously, don't like fucking like put your address on. Are you crazy? Jesus.
Maybe
no, I'm talking about
like
DMing Jason, bro.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Wait, I thought you were doing a bit.
No, I thought you were going to go on Google Maps and put up your address.
Like, here's my address.
Yeah. Whoa.
Him, right? You knew I was texting it to you, right?
I figured you were gonna post it. Yeah, in the chat.
No,
not this chat. Not this chat. Our group chat.
Our personal friend chat. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not.
I mean, according to Google, it says my walk to McDonald's is 8 minutes, but that's definitely a lie.
You want me to find out mine? Here, I'll do mine right now.
Okay.
Let's do this.
This is so fucking stupid.
But I'm a fast walker.
Well, this is an interesting turn tonight's stream is today.
Yeah.
It's alright.
It's I mean, did you see the title of tonight's stream?
Timestamp Ethan Doc.
Street X Sweatsa.
Okay, this makes me sound this makes my argument sound bad, but according to this, my walk is apparently 5 minutes. But that's not.
That's not true.
Hold on, that is not true. That is not true. Okay. That is not
Done.
Drive time that you're looking at. You got the little pedestrian.
No, it's the pedestrian.
That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the pedestrian.
Okay, yeah, okay. Jason, I'm gonna screenshot this and I'm just gonna text it to you privately, and you're gonna give me I can already imagine you're gonna give me so much shit, but I swear to God, it takes longer.
It would take longer than 5 minutes to walk down that like neighborhood. Like I don't know.
No, and the thing is, we've done it before.
Yeah, I've like
longer.
Yeah.
It's okay. Anyway, to move on. Anyway, so
next time you guys are in New York City, we'll walk from my apartment to
We walked everywhere in fucking New York. I would walk more if I could, but again, we live in the suburbs. Dude, fucking come to Orange County and like try not to have a car.
Yeah, okay.
I'm good, thanks.
So anyway, so lazy Sundays, usually me and my family get McDonald's because it's right across the street. You know, you want to stay in pajamas, whatever.
Afternoon.
And so, yeah, whatever. It depends. Whenever you're lazy.
Yeah.
So on Sunday, my dad was like, "Okay, you go get it." So I'm like, "Okay, fine." So my hair is crazy. I'm wearing glasses. I'm wearing like a t-shirt and fucking gym shorts or whatever. And I go in. I'm like, "Hey, can I get like 40 nuggets that I split with my family or whatever, some fries or whatever?" And it's okay. Cool. Pull up, and it will come to the first window. And I get up there. I'm like, here you go. And here you go. Here's the card. And he goes, "Hey, you're that. You're like a menswear guy, right? You wear like suits and stuff." And I'm like looking at it with like my teeth not brushed, my eye crusty, my hair crazy, and I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, dude, yeah, I love seeing your fits online. Your stuff is really good." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." Like, and I'm like totally out of it.
Give me my McDonald's.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm like, "Oh, like where do you go?" He's like, "Oh, he goes to the local city college." I'm like, "Oh, dude, that's cool. Don't hesitate if you see me, like, don't hesitate to say hi or come out to like some trunk show or something." And yeah, that was a really, really random one. That was like, I was totally unexpected, and
But what I think we can gather from this though is that you've had up to this point 40 minutes of anecdotes of how people have recognized you in some capacity in the street.
Okay, to be fair to Ethan, that was definitely not 40 minutes of anecdotes. That was maybe 3 minutes of anecdotes and like 37 minutes like of bullshit in between. It was.
Okay, fine.
I'm not. I should have said bullshitting. How about that?
Yeah.
Bullshitting.
Bullshitting.
Oh, wait, what about that guy, Spencer, that met you and then met me?
Yeah. There was a guy who came in when I was working at J Crew, and I helped him out in the dressing room. And he's like, "Oh my God, you're Spencer from Style and Direction or whatever." I'm like,
"Did you say yes, I am?"
I did. I said, "That's me."
That's where I know you from.
Yeah.
Good reference.
But yeah, I was. He did seem a little, like awkward, like excited to meet me and talk to me. Which, as always, I thought was very odd. But yeah, that was. I just talked to him a couple minutes on my shift. I recommended a couple items. I don't remember if he bought anything. I don't think he did.
Yeah, he also came to the bloke later on, either that same day or that same weekend. And he did kind of the same thing to me, where he kind of he didn't really. Of course, again, like I said, we can only do so much. So obviously, I think Spencer and I tried to make conversation, but sometimes people just maybe are in, for lack of a better word, awe about it, right? And
yeah,
it seems like everyone that you've mentioned was at least at the beginning. It's
yeah, but I mean, again, it's just kind of something which is again we try and mitigate it a little bit by giving them the opportunity to hang out with us again. Not that we're friends, but that you have the opportunity to dilute the honest, I guess. That also kind of reminds me of a time when I was in Uniqlo, and a guy did say he recognized me. But this is before was it before the blog?
So you've been recognized a lot. You're over here saying, "No, I never get recognized."
Well, these are all like I'm trying to think of like in recent memory, but this is like a longer time ago. This was like maybe after I started the blog and I posted something about the guide. Well, no, I think it was like the guide to vintage the general vintage style, which is again me showing the different, the basics of each era. And that one was the guy was with his girlfriend. It was more of a Dapper Day thing, like, "Oh hey, you're that guy who posted like the Fedora Lounge." Also, that reminds me, when I first met Spencer, we both walked into one of our favorite stores, Joyride, in Orange County. And this is not like a fanboy kind of thing, but it was my first time there, and then the owners of Joyride were like, "Hey, you're Ethan Wong, you post in the Fedora Lounge and wear suits." I'm like, "Yep," and he was like, "Oh, okay, cool." I'm like, "Cool." Like that was kind of it. And then of course, the way we mitigate that is why we just hang out with Rob, and I guess back then.
Well, I mean, again, he wasn't like, "Oh my God, it's Ethan." He's like, "Oh, I know you." It was that one was very casual. Which is how it should be.
It's more how it should be, and also like I think that I'm sure Spencer was already friends with them, or at least on the way to that. But for me, it was like, I want to make more friends, so of course I would go back there and just kind of shoot the shit with those guys because they're just really chill dudes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, same thing with I'm trying to think of this other time. Well, this is not a fanboy thing or meeting someone, but something I like to do is if I see someone wearing kill shots out in public, I will try and say, "Oh hey, nice kill shots." And twice. No, I mean I like kill shots. Secret.
I like the kill shots.
Secret hasn't come out yet. I forgot we haven't talked about how we actually do like them, Spencer, publicly. Well, it's canon now.
It's unfortunate that we like them, and everyone else does.
But I try and say that, and then sometimes I see them do a double take because maybe they recognize me from MFA, which I think happened one time where I said that, and the guy goes, "Oh yeah, you're from MFA, right?" And I'm like, "Yep," and he goes, "Oh cool," and I'm like, "Cool, that's it, So